Namaste. In this session, we are going to look at the MICE algorithm for imputing missing values. Now, MICE stands for Multivariate Imputation by Chained Equations, and it was published in the Journal of Statistical Software by Stef Van Buren and Karen Grotius Odshon in 2011. And the research paper can be accessed here. And, or just rather, you can simply type JSTATSoft MICE in your browser, and this should take you to the first link should take you here. Now, Zubin in 1976 classified missing data into broadly three categories. So the first category was missing completely at random or MCAR, and missing at random MAR, or missing not at random or MNAR. Now what is MCAR? MCAR implies that the reason for missingness of that field is completely random and that we probably cannot predict that value from any other value in the data. So it means that the missing value is completely random because there is no reasoning behind why that value was missing. So it could be just that the questionnaires failed to reach the respondent. Next is MAR. MAR stands for missing at random, and it implies that the missingness of a field can be explained by the values in other columns but not specifically from that column. So just an example, if your crush doesn't respond to your proposal, so for example if you ask her out and she hasn't responded yet, then that is sort of a missing value. Then you can probably get your answer by looking at other variables like whether she likes someone else, or maybe her parents want an arranged marriage. So if any of those answers are true, then maybe you have your answer for that column. Okay, so that is missing at random, where you can get an answer for your question by looking at other variables. And what is missing not at random? Well, it implies that there was a specific reason why the respondent didn't fill up that field, and hence that data cannot be said to be missing at random. For example, if someone is obese, or maybe if someone is very lanky, they would be less likely to disclose their weights, right? Because nobody wants to say that I weigh 200 pounds or I weigh only 40 pounds. So, I mean, there is no issue in that, but just the fear of public backlash or public laughter, someone would not fill up those fields. Or maybe if you ask someone in the questionnaire what political party do they support, they would maybe not be willing to disclose that as well. So that is a missing not at random. So if we have a missing not at random, we need to clearly inspect why that data was missing rather than straight away imputing them. So this is a thing. So this is a thing about missing not at random. We cannot simply guess the answer to that particular question, that why that missing value was missing, and we cannot simply impute that value because we clearly do not know the answer to that question. Now just imagine a bank wants to sell its credit card, and it reaches out to 6 people and jots down these data samples which are here. So it noted down their ages, their work experience, their salaries, and then whether they purchased their credit card or not. So now the bank wants you to tell them what kind of people should they approach next week to maximize their credit card sales. So our first task now is to impute the missing values, right? Because we cannot work with missing values in our machine learning model. So luckily, we happen to know these 6 people very well, and we also know the true values behind these missing values. Okay, so we know that the first guy has an experience of 1 year, this last guy is 35 years old, and this second guy has a salary of $80,000. Okay, so now we'll just use these known values, these pink colored values for our reference and cross verification in future to check if a model is doing any good. Okay, so we are not going to use them in a model anywhere. So now we'll also chop off the purchased column here because this is the target column and we want to impute the features, age, salary and experience, and hence we won't need the purchased column here. So this is our complete feature matrix now with those missing values, and now our task is to impute these 3 values. Now just a quick note on univariate versus multivariate imputation techniques. What is univariate? Univariate implies it has a uni, right? Uni and variate. So uni means one and variate means basically one column. So it means that using only that particular column for imputing values in that column and not looking at any other column for reference. For example, when you do mean or median or most frequent or a constant imputation, we do not look at other columns, right? We simply look at that particular column and impute the missing values there itself. For example, here, if we want to impute this last age column, we will simply take the mean of these values, which comes out to be 29, and we'll fill up that here. Similarly, for 7 and 134, we'll do that. But now, when we use the main strategy, do you now see that we have a guy with 7 years of experience at only 25 years of age, and also moreover he has only a salary of $50,000, and just assume that these 6 people are working in corporate jobs. So now don't you find this unsettling that a guy with 7 years of experience is only 25 years old? So that means he started working at 18 years of age, and even after 7 years of experience in a corporate job, he has only a salary of $50,000. So this is where a main strategy or using a single univariate strategy fails, because your model simply doesn't look correct right now. So this brute force approach is one of those issues with single imputation techniques. So multivariate solves this issue by trying to factor in other variables in the data to make better predictions about the potential true value of a missing value. So basically what will happen is, to find the value of this missing value, I will look at the experience and salary of other people and look at their ages. So this will basically be my target column now, and I'll make a machine learning model on this, a regression model on this, and try to predict my age column by treating this row as the testing set. First of all, we need to know what mice assumes. The mice algorithm assumes that the data is missing at random. So the data should not be missing not at random, because for missing not at random, we cannot assume any particular value, because we inherently do not know the answer to that question. And also for MCAR, that is a very generalized and a very optimistic view of looking at things, because that thing doesn't happen very often. That questionnaires get lost in the mail, or someone fails to respond, or any other sort of thing. So the basic principle is that the data should be missing at random for using this mice algorithm. So now let us look at how it is actually done, and it will be extremely clear by the end of the lecture how this mice algorithm works. In my first iteration, my first step is to impute all the missing values with the mean of the respected columns as a starting point, and we'll call this our 0th data set. Okay, so for these missing value, I'm imputing with 29, this with 7, because the mean of all the experiences is 7, and this is 134, and this is my 0th data set. And just a side note, we'll be imputing the columns from left to right. The age column gets imputed first, then experience, and then the salary column. Now step 2 is to remove the age imputed value or values. So here we have only one missing value in age, so I'll remove this age now, but I'll keep this 7 and 134 intact, right? Just keep this in mind. So now my step 3, the remaining features and rows become the feature matrix. For example, this light gray colored box becomes my feature matrix, and this is my target column now. And now I'll run a linear regression model on this small data set, and when it is time to do the predictions, I'll do my predictions on the guy with an experience of 11 years and a salary of $200,000, and I'll check out what is my predicted age for that best fit model. Okay. So now when I do that, I find that my predicted age is 36.25 years. So I fill that in here, 36.25. So now my value is updated here. Okay. So now my next step, since I'm going from left to right, now I'm taking away this experience imputed value, and I'll do the same thing here. So what I'll do is, now my age and my salary columns become my feature matrix, and my experience column becomes my target label, and I'll similarly run a regression model on this. And now once I run that regression model, I find my predicted value of experience to be 1.8538. So I fill that in here, 1.8538. So now my step 5 is to remove the salary imputed value. So similarly, my remaining features, age and experience, become my feature matrix. This light gray colored values become my feature matrix, and the dark gray are my target columns, and this white colored is my test set. Okay, so once I run my linear regression model, I find that my prediction salary for this person is $72,000. So I fill that in, and hence I now have my first data set or first iteration data set, and this has all the 3 imputations done. Okay, so This is iteration 1 done and dusted. Now step 6, we subtract the two latest datasets at our disposal. So by latest what I mean is the transformed dataset from which this new dataset was formed. For example, I have this as my new dataset, right? This first dataset, and I'll subtract it from which dataset? I'll do that with the 0th dataset, because I formed this first dataset from this 0th dataset, and hence I'll subtract these two, and my difference dataset is this one. So basically my goal is to minimize this difference matrix to as much low value as possible, right? Because I have these values as 0, because 25 minus 25 is 0. For the known values, these will be zeros. For example, for 36.25 minus 29, I have 7.25, and here I see that there's a huge gap in the salary. Okay, so this difference matrix is telling me that my convergence point has not yet reached, and I need to do more number of iterations. So now we repeat step number 2 to 6 with this new dataset. So now my second iteration will be to repeat step number 2 to 6 with this new dataset until we get a very stable model. So just for reference, step number 2 was removing this age value and then running a regression model and finding out the predicted value for this age. Okay, so that was step number 2, and this is step number 6 here, where we subtract and check the difference matrix. So technically speaking, we stop the iterations when a predefined threshold is breached. Now we won't go into the details, but the basic principle is whenever we find that these values are very close to 0 or are negligible, we'll stop taking our iterations, because then we would know that we have converged on our result. Okay? Or we can also do it until a predefined maximum number of iterations get completed. We'll just see in a moment what I mean by that. So what is iteration number 2? For iteration number 2, we now use this first dataset that we just computed as our base dataset to do the imputations, and discard the 0th dataset which had the mean imputations. So now this is my iteration 2 here. What I do here is I take this first dataset and I do all the imputations from step number 2 to 6. Then so this is my second dataset now. Okay, so for example, I just made this NaN again, and then I calculated my estimated age based upon the experience and salary of other people, and I found that my age is 34.87 years. Similarly, I did it for the experience and salary, and I found these three values. And if I subtract these two datasets, I get these three values. And I see that now if you check here, now if you check here, I had a maximum value of 61, right? The absolute maximum was 61, and now here my maximum is only 7.96. So now we are getting a better result than last time. So now what we'll do is we'll now use this second dataset as our base dataset, like this, in an iteration 3. So we'll send this here in iteration 3. So when I take the difference of these two, I find my values to be very much better than last time, right? The maximum value here was 7.96, and here the maximum is only 0.75. So we are doing better than last time. Next step is to take this third dataset as my base dataset for my iteration 4, do all the imputations on them again, and then I find that my results have changed again. So when I check the difference, I find the differences to be even smaller than last time. So the maximum value, I think it is 0.0131 here, which is better than last time. So again, we can take this fourth dataset as a base one and do again imputations on this, and so on and so forth. Again, until and unless that satisfies our criteria of the minimum threshold, or we reach the maximum number of iterations that we are telling the software to calculate. So now you see, even after doing only 4 iterations, we see that we have reached an experience of 1 year, age of 35, and salary of 80. So these are actually the true values, right? The experience was 1 year, the age was 35 years, and the salary was $80,000. So we are getting very close to the actual result, and we can stop here, but we can also go forward with more iterations. So this is, in a nutshell, the multivariate imputation by chained equations. I just showed you for the numerical columns, but you can also do it for the categorical columns. But the thing is, in categorical columns, they will be first encoded as the dummy variables, so that will take up a lot more space, and that would be a little more complex to explain, and hence I used only numerical columns to explain you. but you can also do it with the categorical columns as well. So one of the advantages of using this multivariate approach is that if you check out my univariate approach, my mean experience was 7 years. So I was filling this with 7, I was filling this with 29, and this with 134. But now you see I'm getting almost the exact result of what I was expecting using this multivariate. So this is one of the advantages. Now just a few pointers. We used a linear regression model here, right, to do the regression analysis, but we can also use any other model like a decision tree or random forest or a Bayesian ridge or any other kind of regression model. For example, if this 31 age guy was also missing, if I didn't have this age, then what would happen is even this row would have become a testing row similar to this 35, this last row, and our feature matrix would basically be only those rows which have fully filled age values. So for example, if I had 31 missing as well, then only my row number, this 25, 27, 29 and 33, these 4 rows would have been my feature matrix, and then my test set would be this 31 row and my 35 row. So one of the disadvantages of using this mice approach or this multivariate approach is that, for example, if you have a huge data set with millions of rows and hundreds or thousands of columns, then it would be a little bit inconvenient to make models after models and try to predict the result. It might take a decent amount of time to do all those imputations. So there is this trade-off that you need to make. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you have now a clear understanding of how the multivariate or mice approach works. And if you still have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to address all your doubts as much as possible. So thank you for watching.